You like either one? Thumbs up. Good evening and welcome to the July 17th Open Space Conservancy Trust special meeting. Not special meeting. Welcome to the Conservancy Trust meeting. The time is now 5 o'clock. I'm Geraldine Poor, the current chair of the Open Space Conservancy Trust, and tonight's Open Space Conservancy Trust meeting is being brought to you in person and by Zoom. The Zoom video of this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the city's YouTube channel later this week. Welcome to all and thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight, we're excited to welcome the new Open Space Conservancy trustee and City Council liaison, Daniel Becker. Daniel, would you be willing to share a little bit about what interested you in volunteering to be on the Open Space Conservancy Trust?
Sure, yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the trust. I think one of the reasons that I was interested in City Council is because I think that the parks and the open spaces that we have on Mercer Island are just critical. Like this is one of the reasons that makes the city a great place to live, and Pioneer Park and Engstrom open space specifically is just like such a treasure that we have and need to try to preserve. And I just think it's great. I was there the other day with my dog walking around it and just want to do what I can to try to preserve this amazing asset that we have as a city. So
welcome to the board, and I believe we all feel that way also, so thank you. Trustees, please turn on your microphone for the roll call, and will city staff please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Brian Gasper.
Here.
Carol Brissett.
Here.
Thomas Hildebrand.
Here.
Marie Bender.
Here.
Hillary Atay. Oh, no microphone.
Present. Sorry about that.
Thank you. And Chair Poor.
Present.
Thank you.
City staff, is there anyone who's signed up for appearances that wishes to address the trust?
No appearances tonight, Chair.
Thank you. We'll move to our first item of regular business. The first item is to approve the minutes from this April 29th, 2025 special meeting. Trustees, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Thank you, Carol. A second?
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion by trustee Bender and a second, trustee Bursa, and a second by both trustee Bender and trustee Gaspar.
I have a comment. I was looking over the minutes and I appreciate the effort to make them as brief as possible, but I think that some of the interesting details are being lost in the level of brevity that we've achieved. So in regard to the realignment at Southeast 68th Street and Island Crest Way, I had two issues which I brought up, which don't appear in the minutes. And also in the quadrant report, I made a specific recommendation, and that also is not there. So people would have to go to the video recording to get that level of detail. And I think that the minutes should reflect, at least in a general way, the issues that have been raised during the discussion.
Yeah, we can discuss that with the clerk, and if you're comfortable just approving the minutes based on what you said, then we can add those Scrivener's edits later, is what we call, I think. I think the direction has been to simplify them, so we can get that clarification on the level of detail moving forward.
Yes, I'm not recommending updating the minutes for tonight, but for future reference, it would be nice to have a little bit more detail.
So you we could ask you to say specifically what it was that you had mentioned that you wanted in the minutes, but I hear you saying it's more a philosophy of how the minutes are presented to include those kinds of details.
Yes, at least the major issues that have been raised in each category, if there are any such issues, those should be mentioned. So looking for a little bit more detail than what we're seeing in tonight's version minutes.
Thank you. Are there other comments or discussions before we
Yeah.
move? Carol?
Yeah, I have to
Trustee
agree that
Mercer.
as I read through the minutes this time, I was most impressed at the brevity, which is fine, because I think there's a good reason to move in that direction. But I think it would be nice to consider, maybe a halfway point or at least, listing some of the major topics that may have been raised under these items. Having been at the meeting, I guess I just don't think that the depth of the conversation was reflected in the minutes. Not to say that, we're hiding anything or that, that there's any, but I think if we want to be transparent about the discussion, I think it would be nice if we had 1 or 2 points under each of these agenda items.
So staff, perhaps you could report back to us at the next meeting.
Yeah, thank you. That's good feedback.
Are there further comments in the minutes? On the minutes? Great. Give me one moment, please. So we have said there is a motion on the table. Trustees, let's move for the question. Trustees, please turn on your microphones and will the city staff conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Chair. Brian Gasper,
Aye.
Carol Brissett,
Aye.
Thomas Hildebrand,
Nay.
Marie Bender.
Aye.
Chair Poor,
Aye.
Hillary Atay.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And may we assume that the nay reflects the comments that you just made?
Yes, not fully accepting the minutes as they're presented, but
My apologies, Chair. I didn't include Councilmember Becker.
Aye.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the election of officers. And tonight, the recommended action is to elect officers tonight. Just in case you were wondering. Tonight, the Open Space Conservancy Trust will appoint a new chair, vice chair, and secretary by utilizing the following process to elect new officers as stated in the bylaws. We will have a motion to elect the chair, vice chair, and secretary on the agenda. As we do, we'll take nominations for the position of chair from the floor. Nominations don't require a second vote. Once we have all nominations on the table, the chair will declare nominations closed. Voting takes place in the order the nominations are made. If there's only one nomination, board members will vote on that nomination by a voice vote. If there's more than one nomination, board members will vote. If there's more than one, board members will vote on that nomination by a voice vote. Again, okay, so once a nominee receives a simple majority vote, the nominee is declared elected to the new position. If none of the nominees receives a majority vote, nominations are requested again, and the process is repeated until a candidate receives the majority vote. The process will be repeated for the vice chair and the secretary. I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of chair. Please raise your hand if you would like to make a nomination for chair.
I nominate Hillary Atay.
Thank you, Trustee Hildebrandt. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? And Trustee Atay, would you accept that nomination?
I do accept the nomination. Thank you.
If there are no further nominations, staff, please conduct a roll call vote for the nominees.
Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Marie Bender,
Aye.
Chair Poor,
Aye.
Carol Brissette,
Aye.
Brian Gasper.
Aye.
Thomas Hildebrand,
Aye.
Hillary Atay.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair.
Congratulations, trustee and Chair Atay.
Thank you very much.
Yay. I am going to continue with this order of operations. Although sometimes we pass the gavel to the new chair. So given your lack of script, shall I continue?
I do have the script.
Oh, you do? Excellent.
I do, yeah.
Would you like to take over now or after the elections?
I would be happy to. Thank you, Jerry. We ready to go?
Yep.
All right. The third item of regular business is the 2025 annual herbicide application report. We welcome.
I'm sorry.
Point of order.
Oh,
We do need to finish the elections, so
oh,
we're
oh my
at
goodness. I'm so sorry. I
page 4.
misunderstood you. Oh, yes. I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of vice chair. Please raise your hand if you would like to make a nomination for vice chair.
Oh, you can't see it.
I believe that is Secretary Bender.
I nominate Carolyn Mercer.
Do we have any other nominations? Nope. Staff, please conduct a roll call vote for the nominee.
Carol Brissette, do you accept the nomination?
I do. Aye. Yes.
Thank you. Thomas Hildebrand,
Aye.
Jerry Poor,
Aye.
Councilmember Becker,
Aye.
Marie Bender,
Aye.
Brian Gasper.
Aye.
Chair Atay.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair.
Congratulations, Carolyn Brissette.
Thank you.
Yay, Carolyn. I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of secretary. Please raise your hand if you would like to make a nomination for secretary.
My
Chair
hand,
Poor.
great. I would like to nominate trustee Bender to continue in the role of secretary, if she would accept.
I would. If I can.
Staff. Oh. Go on, secretary. Staff, please conduct a roll call vote for the nominee.
Thank you, Chair. Trustee Gasper.
Aye.
Vice Chair Brissette,
Aye.
Trustee Hildebrand,
Aye.
Trustee Bender,
Aye.
Trustee Poor,
Aye.
Chair Atay,
Aye.
Trustee Becker.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair.
Congratulations to Marie.
Thank you.
The new officers will now assume their respective roles. The third item of regular business is the 2025 annual herbicide application report. We welcome Natural Resources Program Manager Lizzie Stone. Our recommended action is to receive the report.
Okay. My name is Lizzie Stone. I'm the Natural Resources Program Manager here with the City of Mercer Island. Not sure why I have a black background. Oh, maybe y'all can't see it, so it's fine. Tonight I'm going to be going over a report of our herbicide use in 2024 and to talk about our plan for surveys and applications of herbicide on trust property in 2025. Okay, so just to go over the basics, in May of 2010, the Open Space Conservancy Trust adopted the Herbicide Use Protocol, which prescribes the situations in which herbicide may be used on trust property. We update this protocol periodically to reflect what we're seeing in the field and to incorporate the newest research on treatment effectiveness, environmental impact, and other factors. The most recent update was approved in January of 2023. The protocol requires that city staff report to the trust annually on the recent use and planned uses of herbicides for the year. And in our conversations since the herbicide use protocol update, those conversations made clear that we are all in agreement that we want to minimize herbicide use wherever possible and allow for the most effective and safe approaches for managing problem weed populations so that we can do fewer repeat treatments and therefore use less herbicide over time. So jumping into the report from 2024. In 2024, we surveyed for knotweed, for shiny geranium, for yellow archangel, yellow flag iris, and spotted jewelweed. All of these species have been found on trust property before, so it's good news that we only encountered yellow archangel in the park this year. The other species seem to be no longer present, though we will continue to monitor for them just in case to be sure that they're not still lingering. Yellow archangel is a weed that was first identified and treated in Pioneer Park in 2010. And this initial treatment was very successful and it eradicated approximately 90 to 95% of the infestation. Regular monitoring of the area has resulted in subsequent treatments and to manage the remaining infestations. And in 2024, we found patches of yellow archangel along the north edge of the northwest quadrant and the south edge of the southeast quadrant, which you can see here in those green dots in those locations. We did a very thorough treatment of this plant in the spring and again in the fall with the hope that we can shift to just hand pulling in the next year or two. I also did some additional outreach to the neighbors that were bordering these infestations, as was suggested in our previous conversation. I shared a weed alert and photos of the plant. I talked with the folks who I was able to reach about management approaches and encouraged the residents to reach out to me directly if they found any of it on their property and if they wanted advice for eradication. In addition to this archangel treatment by our seasonal crew, we had contractors out in Pioneer Park in 2024 doing comprehensive weed removal and invasive weed removal maintenance on many different zones in all three quadrants and in Engstrom open space. So these contractors encountered English holly, laurel, English hawthorn, all of which are invasive trees. Some of the plants were small enough that we were able to dig them up by hand, like those that were found in the southeast quadrant and in Engstrom. The larger plants with more established root systems were treated using a dry, stable injection of imazapyr for the larger trees and a cut and paint triclopyr for smaller stems, which is what's prescribed in the herbicide use protocol. We had 2 project sites where contractors were working, where there was Himalayan blackberry that was growing up through native plants that were making it difficult to remove the blackberry without damaging the desirable species roots. And in these locations, we cut the blackberry and then we painted on a concentrated triclopyr product onto the cut stems. We do this approach in order to minimize any off-target damage and to localize that treatment to get absorbed down into the roots of the specific plant that we're trying to treat. The areas shown here on this map in blue are the areas where we had only found invasive trees that were managed by herbicide, and the areas that have blue and white stripes there are the areas where there was both invasive trees and blackberry that was treated in some of the areas. And I do want to point out that these areas here are areas where herbicide treatment work was done after surveys during the comprehensive removal work that our contractors were doing. And this doesn't represent a full survey of all of the weedy trees in the park. It's just the work zones where the trees were found in the areas where work was happening in 2024. In 2025, we will again be surveying for knotweed, shiny geranium, yellow archangel, yellow flag iris, and spotted jewelweed. And I expect that we will again be treating invasive trees in the areas where comprehensive weed removal will be taking place. Those areas are shown in blue on the map this year. We're working in a lot of areas in the southeast and northeast quadrants, as well as Engstrom. We will also likely encounter some locations where there are blackberry stems that are growing up through native plants that need to be treated, where we're doing comprehensive weed removal. And I suspect that we may also have to do some spot treatments of yellow archangel again, depending on what the populations are looking like after our more intensive treatments last year. So I've highlighted the areas where we previously found yellow archangel in green on this map. This is where our surveys are going to be focused again. And in blue, again, I'm showing where the comprehensive weed removal and maintenance is taking place. And these are the areas where we may find invasive trees or a blackberry that needs to be treated in order to be managed. And this is a pretty picture of yellow archangel, and that is all from me. And I wanted to open up to any questions that you have.
Oh, I guess. So I have one comment, and I do have, I guess, two comments. The first is, kudos to trying to keep our public trust areas in a form of active restoration. As someone who has a community garden, I know I have to go out every day to monitor the well-being of my garden and, discourage the plants that I don't want to have there. So I know it's a never-ending battle. The second comment I have, though, is I think that there's a need for education for the folks on Mercer Island. As you know, because you came out and surveyed property owned by the city that runs along the drainage ditch that is in my backyard. After they had drained out that area last year, there was a massive infusion of yellow archangel. And, when I saw it pop up there, I thought, gee, that's a really pretty sort of ivy. I never saw that before. And then you told me what it was. And now I've walked along the street on West Mercer Way, and there's several other places where I'm spotting it now that I know what I'm looking for. So I guess the point, I guess there's one point. One is I think that there's a need to educate the public as to what some of these invasive plants are. I mean, as a very naive islander, I mean, I've seen the signs that say knotweed, but I don't see anything else that's ever educated me about, what we're trying to prevent coming onto the island. And I guess the question then is, what is the ownership of the public space group for everything that's not open space? Because I know that, you're fighting inroads from around the boundaries, and I suspect that there's a larger context within which we're battling, that there are a number of these elements present throughout the surroundings of the open space. And, while that's not the charge of the open space, I would suggest that at least probably an educational effort is needed.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Do we have any other questions for Natural Resources Manager Lizzie Stone?
Hillary?
Yes, Marie, please.
I was gonna say, apropos to your comment, one of the biggest sources of issues in the park is what's living in the houses adjacent.
Yeah.
And I just took care of a patch of vinca, which 2 years ago somehow managed to cross the street off a traffic island, so it's not even somebody's house. I don't know who's responsible for it. But that's the kind of, and I'm sure there's a holly hedge there too, and I'm sure that's responsible for a great deal of holly in our parks.
Yeah,
I wonder if, I mean, I think a lot of neighbors walk in the park. And I hate to ask for another sign, but maybe we could figure out a way to incorporate in already existing signs. Sort of, hey, neighbors, these are the plants that are causing problems. And if you don't particularly care for them in your yard, maybe remove them. Because there's nothing like awareness to know. I mean, because a lot of times people say, oh, that's pretty, just like you did.
yeah.
Not realizing that it's something that just takes off. The other thing I was just curious about is we've always talked about herbicides. Do we have any insect pests or animal pests in the park that are of concern?
Good question. First of all, thank you for that suggestion. That's helpful. And I'll explore that. Public outreach possibility. And insect or animal pests, we don't manage any insects or animals with chemicals.
But are we aware of any that are in the park? And I mean,
We,
like, for example, I lost a bunch of birch trees to birch bark beetle. Is there something else going in the park that's like that would cause a problem like that?
we don't, not that we're aware of, we don't know of any insect pests that are causing any tree mortality or significant die off of any of
Okay.
our plants or valued
Okay.
community members.
Some other parks, we have a bit of that.
That's true. We do have bark beetles and things like that in some other parks, but not on trust property that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Thank you. Lizzie, I'm curious if you can just briefly summarize what your reactions were and what from the neighbors. How cooperative would you say they were? How receptive were they to your discussions about Archangel?
I am happy to. Yeah, all of the conversations I had with people were met very positively. I had actually spoken with most of these folks at least once before, and I will suspect that they have been contacted in years past by my predecessors as well. So that it didn't seem like it was anybody's first time hearing this. And I will say, the folks on the northern edge of the Northwest Quadrant, they have done a good job. I've seen photos of the infestations that were on private property in the past, and they are much less, if anything at all, at this point. So I think folks have taken it to heart. I wasn't contacted by anybody who was asking for more support or advice. But everyone I was able to speak with was very receptive to taking the weed alert that I provided and looking at the photos and hearing from me my suggestions about how to manage it. There were some folks that I knocked and left some materials on their doorstep, but didn't actually speak with in person. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that update. That's really positive and encouraging.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions for Lizzie before we move on to our next order of business? Nope. With that said, the fourth item of business is the off-leash dog evaluation. We welcome Parks Operations Manager Sam Harb. Our recommended action is discussion only.
The coordination.
All right, good evening. Sam Harb, Parks Operations Manager. I'll be speaking about our off-leash dog evaluation for this year. Just a little bit of background on this issue. This has been a standing agenda item that we've had on our work plan for the last 4 years, at least, since I've been involved with the trust. I know that in the past, maybe around a decade ago is when I've seen some, information where we would host events and have some outreach, and there was maybe some more public comment and backlash over issues going on the trust properties related to off-leash dogs. I know some previous staff have spent a lot of time in the public, educating folks, and we've been, it slowed down a bit, at least from what I can tell. per our annual report for last year, in 2024, there were 4 dog complaints about off-leash dogs and 3 reports of lost dogs per Mercer Island Police Department. I just checked in with them again recently, and since January of this year, they've logged 4 calls related to dogs in the area. And these are kind of a mixed bag of, lost dog, dog off leash, just different complaints, dog on dog altercation, that sort of thing. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of the information we're hearing from the police department. They sort of, the way that they can keep track of that is just like the general area, because Pioneer Park isn't always called in with like a actual address or anything. So that's how they're able to look it up, that it's within the cross street or the vicinity of Pioneer Park. And then as of just recently, we've restocked the dog owners guides in the park. Those are the little pamphlets that we have, and I can share those next. So here's the first page of our dog owners pamphlet. It's still fairly accurate as far as like what's allowed by city code and some of the contact information and other items. It could use some updating. I think we have a hand up.
I was just saying it's a very nice pamphlet. I love the dog. So just say it's very good.
Yeah, we try to stock these in a couple locations around the park system. It's a little bit complicated as far as our park system because a lot of the properties have different rules. For example, the school district property, South Mercer Playfield, which is like a joint city school district facility, no dogs are allowed on that property at all. There are frequently dogs on the property, so it can be an issue. Also, we have more synthetic turf out there, and it can be a sanitation thing or just lots of programmed sporting events and things like that. There are specific rules for where they can be and where they have to be on leash or under voice control. And the voice control specifically is something that when the city was more involved with the outreach aspect, that was kind of, I think, the attempt to kind of get that point across of like what that actually means. And I think it can still lead to issues, but from what I've seen recently, I don't know that Pioneer Park gets any more complaints than the rest of the park system. I think with all the trails and everything, it's definitely popular for people walking with their dogs. But it is a little bit, so the pamphlet's helpful because they're just depending on the location of the property, there's different rules. And then here's the other page of the pamphlet, which in Pioneer Park, it explains the voice/signal control areas being in the Pioneer Park Northwest and Southeast quadrants, whereas in the Northeast quadrant, they have to be on leash. As you probably know, in the Southeast quadrant, there's horse activity as well. And it's not, I'm kind of surprised we don't see more issues with that. The horse dog conflict, that sort of thing. All right, now I'll just open it up to discussion. If any.
Thank you, Sam. Do we have any comments or feedback following Sam's presentation? With that said, I want to thank Sam for his update. The 5th item of business is the Pioneer signage inventory and update. We welcome Parks Operations Manager Sam Harb. Our recommended action is discussion only.
Yeah, thank you. So this topic kind of came up recently with the customer service inquiry specific to the Southeast quadrant of Pioneer Park and the horse biker hiker interaction and how that etiquette is supposed to be handled. I spoke with the chair about it, and we thought that it'd be useful to bring this up. Also, in conjunction with kind of what the committee of the trust is doing with the QR codes and all that. We can kind of readdress all of it together later, but essentially, our last inventory that I could find internally was around 2016, where we had sort of a internal document of where we were keeping track of signs in the park. It's a little bit of an outdated document. I think some of the requested signage has been like sort of the how to share the trail type stuff, the like the triangle of who yields to who and whatnot. I think that's a good starting point. I think we've had some of those signs out in the park system in the past, and it's unclear what's still out there. So I'll go ahead and share a little bit of that I shared in the packet. So this is kind of the main smaller map kiosk that we have. I believe we have these in several locations in all three quadrants. And this is like what I would say like a larger sign, but has kind of the trail system as well as some park rules and some of the information on dogs. I don't think this necessarily needs too much updating, but just an idea of what we have out there. And then back to the 2016 inventory, this is kind of a list of some of the specific signs we had. It was pretty detailed. And so I'm not quite sure what is still out there. And when we continue working on the story project and the QR codes, I think we can kind of integrate all this together. We also have gotten more active with our GIS system and, you know, tracking assets in the field. I think it makes sense to have a lot of these maps and signs, at least the more significant ones, documented so that we can keep track of them. And, you know, if they're vandalized or removed, we have record, like a living record that we can keep updated. And then scrolling down here is kind of the older kind of base of what that kiosk map is based on, and has some of the numbers, locations of different yield signs and things like that. So kind of up here at the top is the triangle I was talking about. It looks like, I don't know if that's still out there, but it's also pretty small. So that's a consideration. I don't know how easy it is to see it from a bike or a horse. And then these are kind of some of the older style of the kiosks we had that have been updated there, but some directional signage as far as where horses are allowed, because I think that's important. We do have some temporary signage, the no harvesting stuff. It can be a little bit busy with like a lot of the way we post signs and things. So we have the larger kiosk in the northwest quadrant. That's a good place for posting things as well. And then here's, I believe these are in the northwest quadrant, the kind of interpretive educational signage, and these are pretty worn out. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to at least clean things up.
Yes, the pictures do not reflect present reality.
Yes, this is these photos are almost a decade old, I'm sure. But it's a good, you know, some work was done at this point. So essentially, and then there's the kiosk there at the northwest quadrant. That's a similar kiosk to what we have. It's actually the same model that we have. We have a couple in Luther Burbank. And then down at the boat launch, I believe, we have maybe 5 or 6 of them in the park system. All right, so that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm getting at. I think that what the chair and I discussed was that we could at least, it wouldn't be too big of a lift for staff to see where we're at in Pioneer Park and Engstrom as far as what signs are actually out in the field. I think the customer service complaint regarding southeast quadrant and, you know, the various horse, bike, dog interactions that could happen. I think that's worth looking at that, like how the share the trail is designed, and just making sure that people are aware of what the expectations are when they're frequenting that quadrant. Any questions or comments on that?
Trustee Poor.
Thank you. I wasn't clear. Were you just asking if we, were you asking if we might go confirm the location of the signs as we're doing our quadrant reports for the next quarter?
Oh, not
Yeah,
necessarily. I
okay.
think this was something that we could take on, just updating
Okay.
this. I think that's an interesting suggestion. I think if we wanted to work together that way, that's possible, but not necessary.
And a second question, if I may, the three, I guess there are three signs noted here or presented here, which are the 4 poster ones. And it's my understanding those were an Eagle Scout project and the drawings were perhaps done by a local resident. It feels like in the past we had more interest from the Scout troops on the island to engage in projects. And I'm wondering if my perception that there's fewer scouting projects is true, and if it's not true, if there might be a scout who is interested in refreshing those 4 poster signs. Could you comment on that likelihood?
You're talking about the tilted ones, the educational ones?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that backstory, but that definitely could be the case. We do frequently still work with scouts. We haven't had any scout projects on the trust properties recently. We've had up in Island Crest Park, Roanoke Park, Luther Burbank, kind of scattered about based on kind of in conjunction with some capital projects like building fence and whatnot. I think it's definitely something that sometimes we kind of strike while the iron's hot. Like if we have something that we need to get done anyways and they approach us, then the timing works out. But in other situations, they might come to us with a proposal of something that they've identified. But I think that if these are in rough shape, then that's definitely something that would be a good scout project.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have anybody kind of in the hopper for that right now, but we do get a lot of inquiries.
Thank you.
Hi, Hillary. First of all, we cannot hear you. This is Lizzie speaking, and I also did just raise my hand, and I think maybe we might be about to say the same thing. So if you would like to go, you can.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry about that. I was just going to say thank you for bringing up those ideas. I think that's a really wonderful suggestion. I do know that Jordan collaborates pretty frequently with different scout troops through the Forest Stewardship Program. And I believe that one of the newer stewards is aligned with Scouts. So I wonder if it might be interesting to talk to Jordan about these potential ideas. Lizzie, is that what you're going to say?
It's not, actually. I was wrong. If I may, I did just want to mention as far as those 4 post slanted signs, I hesitate to engage a scout until we have a design that's decided upon by the committee, because those are in rough shape and they will be definitely a part of our reimagining of how what these signs should look like, and whether we want them to be that big or whether we want them to have that information, or if that will be digital. So I think that I would love to have scouts help when we're ready to put those in, but not get ahead of ourselves with replacing the signs as they are now, because we are in the process of coming up with new designs for them. That's all.
Thank you, Lizzie. We have a meeting coming up for the subcommittee to discuss the QR educational signage in a few weeks. Do we want to put that as an agenda item for next meeting after we've had that meeting so that we have some more specific items to talk to? Lizzie, I'm deferring to you.
I think that seems reasonable to give an update on where we are after we've had we have a meeting in early August, and then we'll have potentially time to do it, even to meet again before the mid-October meeting. So yes, sure. That sounds great.
Thank you. Do we have any further? Oh, Marie, yes, the chair recognizes you.
I just want to say, when I saw this list, I was pretty shocked at how many signs there are. And so, and honestly, a lot of them I don't recall ever seeing, even though I've been walking in the park for 15 years now. So the thought that comes to me is maybe there needs to be fewer and more comprehensive signs, and that's something we ought to think about. It's news to me that there's a yield sign, for example. So that was just my reaction to the list. It's really good. I'm glad you did it, because I don't think I would have appreciated it without this presentation.
Thank you, Marie. Do we have any other comments or questions for Sam about signage in the park? Okay, with that said, next up is quadrant reports. Trustees, please report on any observations from your assigned quadrants. Who would like to report on the Northwest? Jerry?
Sorry, Hillary, the department report was next.
Oh, I am so sorry. My mistake. Okay. In other business, we welcome Sam Harb to present on department and city updates. Thank you, Sam.
All right, my last presentation of the evening. Got our department report for July 17th. So first of all, summer celebration was this last weekend. Thank you to the community. This is really the way that staff gets to celebrate the community and have fun with them and just have a good time. So there are a lot of folks, tabling at the Mercer side and volunteering, and we had some awesome sponsors and vendors, and just a ton of people coming out, making the day a really fun event. It's a long day, and it's just a ton of activity crammed into one, starting from the parade in the morning to the amazing fireworks in the evening. A ton of this. It takes about a year to plan this event, so a lot of staff are involved in this. It's really like an all hands on deck situation for the city. And literally, a couple days ago, some of the staff, we're having discussions about, what we're going to change next year. And it's, we have a lot of experience because we've done it quite a few years in a row, but there's always some efficiencies and some, things we can make better. And yeah, it was just a great time. So thanks for coming down. And then that kicking off with tonight, we've got Mostly Music in the Park. That's kind of our next series of events for the city. We've got a Beatles tribute band tonight, and those are going to be on Thursdays for the next few weeks in July through August. Some really exciting playground updates, capital improvement projects. Roanoke Park, I don't know if you've driven by it or anything, but it's looking really good. A lot of the playground structures, most of them are installed. The poured in place surfacing, that's the kind of multicolored ground you see there. That's the like cushioned rubbery surfacing has been installed. It looks amazing. It's mostly done. There's still some furnishings, picnic tables and things like that, and a little bit of additional concrete work, as well as some vegetation restoration that is set to happen before that gets open. And don't have a hard date for when that will be open, but the plan is this summer, so this month or next month. And then First Hill Park hasn't quite started yet, but permits are issued and staff are finalizing with the construction team. We have all the equipment on site and staged and ready to go, so we're just waiting for the contractor to break ground on that one. Another exciting playground project is the Dean's Children's Park. This is a little bit more of an involved process with some public engagement. Throughout the last couple of months, we've had some stuff available online. Our capital team has been in the schools and meeting with lots of kids around the island. And this last weekend on Saturday, they were tabling at Summer Celebration with some concepts of what the children's park could look like and opportunities for folks to, you know, put stickers and vote and everything. So that was really successful. Lots of opportunities to answer questions and just really see what the community wants from this site. We, in addition to tabling that event on Saturday, we will be at Mostly Music in the Park on the 31st with a booth and giving information about that. We have an online survey open through August 4th, and that link is below and available from our website and Let's Talk page. Luther Burbank Sport Courts, the pickleball courts, the courts are finished and they're extremely popular. If you go down there any time of the day, almost any day of the week, you're going to hear that, just the usage down there. A lot of times there's people waiting, and it's just really exciting what's down there. The mural was kind of the last piece on the west side of the wall there that got restored and cleaned, and so that's kind of the last major you know, improvement to the project. So everything's done. They are so popular, in fact, that it's hard for our crew to get out there and blow them off and just do anything on the courts. So we will be posting some scheduled maintenance over the next couple of weeks, where it'll probably be like an hour, a couple of days a week. And the main thing, just to protect that surface and keep it safe and playable, is just going to be blowing off the surface. We might do some light, you know, washing or pressure washing, adjusting the net, replacing the nets, things like that. Just general getting out on there and getting their hands and eyes on everything. And I wanted to follow up, you know, we've been talking about this off and on, but this time of year, we do get a lot of, you know, inquiries from the public about our open spaces, and, you know, it's fire season in the West and all over really. And, you know, as far as how we maintain the forest, what's our plan? What are we doing with vegetation? Are we removing vegetation from the park and all that sort of thing? Just wanted to touch on the work we did a few years ago with the fire department in updating Appendix M, the Pioneer Park and Engstrom Open Space Fire Management Plan. This was a lot of collaboration with the fire department then and in 2022. And since then, in that map on the right kind of shows the extent of where the, you know, hose lines and everything can be accessed from the road, essentially. So there's more detail in that document if you're interested, but I did want to follow up because since 2022, as a lot of you know, we have transitioned where, you know, MIFD is no more. So it's now Eastside Fire and Rescue. We're part of the bigger organization there. And we're still working with a lot of the same staff, but it is part of a bigger, you know, resource network. And it's on our plate to, our next step has been reaching out with Eastside Fire and getting in contact with folks that are that work with landowners, because that's sort of another goal of ours, is to talk to landowners that border the park and talk about how they can maintain their property safely in close proximity to the open space. So we've started that communication, and you know, we'll be working on that and contacting landowners or, you know, working with the agency to help us in that going forward. And then just listing a couple of volunteer and outreach events for the rest of the month. The 19th, we've got the restoration event in Southeast 53rd Open Space. We've got a bat night coming up in Luther Burbank Park. And then another couple of restoration events, the 26th in Pioneer Park, and then the 31st in Upper Luther. And you can RSVP, and one of the easiest ways is either sign up for our newsletter or just go to the city website and find that on the main city calendar. And then just wrapping up the slideshow, this is our meetings for the rest of the year. So our next meeting, October 16th.
Thank you, Sam, and city staff for all of your incredible work and for these updates, especially with fire management. I found that to be particularly interesting. Do we have any questions from the board or comments for Sam? Yes, Carolyn.
Yeah, mine's just a question of curiosity. With respect to the fire plan, has there been any training or practice runs or anything of that sort to kind of at least have a feel for, you know, what's going to be needed when it needs to be done, and a kind of a protocol in place so that people know who to call and how long it takes to get there and what equipment to bring and that sort of thing?
Not to my knowledge, but as
Yeah.
we continue speaking with Eastside on that, we can
Yeah.
ask more questions about that and
I
revisit
mean, I don't
this.
think it has to be elaborate, but I think there at least ought to be, you know, and hopefully there'll never be an occasion that'll arise. But when someone calls the Mercer Island Police or wherever they would happen to try to report it, it would be helpful, I think, to have just, you know, here's the standing list of things you gotta do, you know, so that we're not all thumbs when it happens, if it happens.
Thank you for your feedback, Carolyn. I think that you make some great points. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for Sam about his report? Nope. Okay. Next up is quadrant reports. Trustees, please report on any observations from your assigned quadrants. Let's go ahead and start with the Northwest.
I'm in the Northwest quadrant, and I'll re-raise the issue of the large Douglas fir in the center of the Salmonberry Trail, which is the center trail in the Northwest Quad. And there are trails going around both sides of it. And it would be nice to see the west side of that trail decommissioned so that traffic is routed around the east side of the tree. There are lots of exposed routes on the west side. So it seems to be a more direct route, but it also is more treacherous, and it's probably safer for people to go the other way. And it would be nicer for the tree to not have people clambering directly over its roots. And my other observation is that there seem to be a lot of blackberries that are advancing on the bench and the picnic table and the picnic table area across from QFC. So it would be nice to see some attention given to that area in particular. What I noticed yesterday was about half of, or already there, some of the bench is unusable because the blackberries have taken over. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have any further comments? Marie?
I did want to add, I mean, I've noticed all of the ivy being cleaned up in the Northwest. It looks great. The other quadrants do too, but I wasn't expecting so much work in the Northwest this year.
Thank you, Marie. Who would like to report on the Northeast?
I can go first.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
I walked it this weekend. It looked good. Just the same issues with that one part where you're going up the hill, and the side of the stairs is the most common used roots, and that whole section I know we talked about maybe there'd be some work done on it to see if it can improve it and make it more accessible for folks that may struggle to walk up those kind of conditions. But I don't know if there's any update on that that you may have, and if you do, great to give one.
Thank you, Trustee Gaspar.
Yeah, I've got Northeast also.
Carolyn?
I would agree. I walked there a couple of weeks ago, and again, I always keep saying it's so much better. You know, every time I go, there's obviously progress being made, but I do agree that, you know, there's some treachery for, you know, folks who might be a little slower or disabled in that one section.
Thank you for your feedback. Jerry, would you like to go next for the Southeast? Or would you like me to go first? I'm fine with either.
Oh, I'll jump in so you can close us up. I wanted to thank Sam for the presentation on item 4, which was the dog issue, having been on the board for a while. I remember the days of the dogs and just want to underscore that it feels there's much fewer issues that we see these days. And while when I'm walking in the park, I don't see 100% nobody's following the rules 100%. I often see off-leash dogs, but they do seem to be under voice control. And some of the other behavior we used to see about people throwing branches into the shrubbery, I don't see that as much anymore either. So pleased on that subject. I will look forward to looking at signage in the southeast quadrant in the coming quarter. But if my days so far in the southeast quadrant have not shown any other issues, so great news there. And then while I'm here, I would hope that I guess it's really item 8, but I would hope that in October we might get a report out on letterboxing. So that's all I had in quadrant reports.
Thank you, Jerry. I too have noticed just the continued excellent progress in the Southeast, especially with all of the ivy removal and debris piles going on. It's impressive to see how much work keeps getting done every time I visit. I did see a mountain ash tree that I believe is in the weedy tree removal area for this year, and I'm sure will be addressed. Aside from that, I think just normal things where, you know, sometimes runners will hand snap some of the vegetation growing over in the trail, but I know that the seasonal crews are going to be brushing trails pretty soon. So nothing major. I think all in all, it looks really excellent. And I'm so grateful for all the work that staff and volunteers are doing there. So if we don't have any more comments or questions about quadrants, I would like to go ahead and sign up for new quadrant assignments. Let's go in the same order. Is there anyone who wants to do the Northwest?
I'll do it.
Okay, Carolyn, and anyone who would like to partner with Carolyn in the Northwest?
I'll do it. It's Brian.
Okay, Brian, thank you so much. All right, so Carolyn and Brian in the Northwest, in the Northeast. Jerry, is that your hand?
It wasn't, I'm really agnostic. I would enjoy any quadrant. So if anyone else wants the Northeast, they should speak up, or I'm happy to stick with Southeast.
I would love to head back to the Northeast if that is okay. And is there anyone else who wants to do the Northeast?
What do you want, Tom?
I prefer to look at the Southeast quad.
Okay.
Southeast, okay. So Southeast, we had Jerry and Tom. I will do the Northeast.
Only because I can do 2 things at the same time, if I can walk a dog off leash. And I haven't been in the Southeast for a long time, so that would be good.
Southeast or the Northeast, Marie?
Sorry, Southeast.
Southeast. I think we have Jerry and Tom in the southeast.
I'm happy to do the
Oh.
northeast.
Okay.
So we
Oh,
have
you want to do
Jerry,
northeast? Okay, so Jerry and I will do the northeast and Tom and Marie will do the southeast. Thank you, everybody. All right. So with that being done, this is, we have topics for future discussion. Aside from what Jerry had mentioned, do we have any other suggestions for topics for future discussion?
I'm sorry, do we typically have the council do a quadrant, right?
Oh,
No.
Oh, we
I
haven't?
don't think we do. No,
Sorry about that.
that's okay.
Although council members are welcome in any quadrant at any time.
Yes, please
Thank you.
come join us.
I will still try to walk the various quadrants, but would appreciate if I don't have to be assigned another.
We'll
Additional task.
accept at large quadrant reports from our.
You can,
I might
you
provide,
can be the floater.
sounds good. Thank you.
Wonderful. Topics for future discussion. Do we have any other items that we would like to see at our next meeting? No. Okay.
Can we,
Oh.
so sorry, but
Now go ahead, please.
just one thing, there's clearly a lot of volunteer going work on in the quadrants, and I've participated in some of them that's going on in Southeast. Can we get a report of just how many volunteer events there are and how many people are volunteering? And is there anything we can do for those volunteers to say, like, thank you, appreciate your time, or just thanks to all the community members giving back and giving some time to clean up those, excuse my language, goddamn blackberry vines that are such a pain to pull and clean.
Lizzie, would you like to respond to this, or Sam?
Hi, this is Lizzie Stone. I am happy to respond. Yes, we do have quite a few volunteer events going on in the Southeast Quadrant and all of them to some degree, but a lot of work this year in the Southeast. So yeah, I am happy to put together, we have all of that data and it doesn't take too much to compile it into a little summary. We do usually put together a summary by the end of the year for our annual report. And if you're requesting one in October, we could pull those numbers as well. And
whenever appropriate. I'm just curious to what they are, because a lot of people done a lot of good work. So I'm just curious how many and counts, and can we send them a thank you note if one isn't already going out to folks?
I love that idea. Thanks for suggesting it. Let's come up with something.
Cool. Thank you.
I guess I'd be happy if there's an organization that came out, I'd be happy to do that. I'm not sure how to write individual thank you notes to hundreds. But to the
I didn't mean individual. No. I meant like a group email or something.
Yeah,
A group email.
very appropriate, and thank you note.
Yeah. I think it could be fun also to do an end of year appreciation like event with some,
For sure.
I don't know,
Yeah.
favors. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That sounds really fun. Thank you for your suggestion. Do we have any further topics for future discussion? No. Okay. With that, I would like to adjourn the meeting. The next open space meeting, excuse me. Can I get a movement to adjourn the meeting?
We didn't have to do that anymore.
Oh, we don't do that anymore. Okay. Hi, okay. We don't do that anymore. That is great. Sorry about my oversight. The next open space meeting is scheduled for October 16th, 2025 at 5 p.m. There being no other business to come before the Open Space Conservancy Trust, the time is now 6:09 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Trustees, please stay seated until city staff has terminated the Zoom broadcast. Good evening and thank you for joining us.